It's probably the hardest thing that I've ever worked on. I like to think of it as sort of a work of art. It's something hundreds of people created. It's a wonderful texture and depth to this world. It was the most work, it was the most difficult, but it was the most fun, it was the most rewarding. And of all projects, it's the one that I'm the most proud of.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. So Netflix dropped a new teaser for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance TV show that it's working on. They haven't announced a premiere date yet, but we know a whole lot about what's going on with the plot and what the characters are going to be, so we gotta break it down. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos too. Of course, I'll do videos for these episodes when they drop, but as it's December when I'm posting this, obviously, this series is going to drop during 2019 sometime. But right now, we don't know if it's going to be early 2019 or late 2019. So when we get more updates about that, I will do update videos. But just to begin with a quick overview, if you have no idea what's going on with this series or you barely remember the original Dark Crystal Jim Henson film, the Jim Henson Company has been trying to make a Dark Crystal sequel for the last 12 years. Finally, they brought the project to Netflix and they decided to turn it into a TV series. So last year, they officially revealed the project, they announced who was working on it, but they didn't really give us a whole lot of details other than the time period that it was set during. But as of right now, like just this morning, they released the cast and told us who the characters are. So if you don't remember the original series, there's great conjunctions that happen once every 1,000 years, and that's sort of how they date the events of the movie in the prehistory of like how the Ur-Skeks got onto the planet Thra. Because the planet where this all takes place is not where they're originally from. They're a bunch of fallen beings from a much greater race that were banished there because they couldn't cleanse their impurities. So during their people's first great conjunction, when all the planets were in alignment, they were banished to Thra through the power of the Dark Crystal, and they were meant to live there. For the most part, they're functionally immortal, so the Great Conjunction happens once every 1,000 years. The second Great Conjunction was when they tried to cleanse their impurities again so that they could return to their homeworld, but instead of cleansing the evil from themselves, it actually split each Ur-Skeks into two different beings, one like the pure good rational side, the other being the Skeksis, the pure id ego-driven side. So they were all about the baser instincts. That's why they had that big long scene where they were stuffing their faces during the original Dark Crystal movie. They were meant to represent all the primal instincts of the Ur-Skeks' original race. The whole idea of the movie is that during the third Great Conjunction, another 1,000 years after they were split into two halves, the races are united by the Gelflings. So the prophecy about this great convergence in the movie says, "When single shines the triple sun, what was sundered and undone shall be whole, the two made one, by Gelfling hand or else by none." So in the series, there are a couple of core races. You have the Ur-Skeks, which were divided into the Skeksis, and so the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance TV series picks up before the events of the movie. So I'm guessing that it's somewhere at the midpoint. They already released the synopsis. Some of the information in it teases stuff that you learn at the beginning of the Dark Crystal movie. So it just reads, the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is based on Jim Henson's groundbreaking 1982 feature film, The Dark Crystal. Age of Resistance tells a new epic story set many years before the events of the movie and realized using classic puppetry with cutting-edge visual effects. That just lets you know that they're going to do it with classic puppetry, not CG. So if you're worried about them bastardizing Jim Henson's work, don't worry, this is what it's going to look like. The puppets look slightly more realistic, but they seem pretty faithful to the original Jim Henson designs. Then the description goes on. It reads, "The world of Thra is dying. The crystal of truth is at the heart of Thra, the source of untold power, but it is damaged, corrupted by the evil Skeksis, and a sickness spreads across the land. When three Gelflings uncovered the horrific truth about the power of the Skeksis, an adventure unfolds as the fires of rebellion are lit and an epic battle for the planet begins." So the thing about this is that if you've seen the movie, you know that there was a Gelfling massacre that happened that eradicated their race, because while the mystics knew about the prophecy that they would once be joined or rejoined with their darker halves, the Skeksis misinterpreted it, thinking that the Gelflings would kill them off and take their place. We know because we've seen the movie that it just means that the Uru will be combined with the Skeksis to reform what their original race was so that they can reascend and go back to their homeworld. Netflix is saying that the series is going to follow 3 Gelfling characters named Rian, Bria, and Deet, but obviously there are a lot of other big characters. It's a really big world with a really deep mythology, so there are a lot of really famous people playing characters. I don't know exactly how much they'll be in the series, but for the most part, it'll be following these 3 Gelflings through every one of the episodes. The leads are Taron Egerton, who's playing Rian, Anna Taylor-Joy playing Bria, Nathalie Emmanuel that's playing Deet from Game of Thrones, Donna Kimball is playing Aughra. Remember, during the movie, she tells us that she was there for the original Great Division when the Urskeks were divided into the Skeksis and the Uru. That was about 1,000 years ago, so she's very, very long-lived. There are a whole bunch of really famous actors who they've listed, but they haven't said who they're playing. There's Catriona Balfe, Helena Bonham Carter, Harris Dickinson, Natalie Dormer, Eddie Izzard, Theo James, Toby Jones, Shahzad Latif, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Mark Strong, Alicia Vikander, Mark Hamill, that's right, Luke Skywalker is going to be a character on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, Jason Isaacs, Keegan-Michael Key, Simon Pegg, and Andy Samberg. So like I said, most of those really famous people, they haven't said who they're playing. It's the same thing with the Netflix Witcher TV series. They've announced like a lot of the really main characters, but they haven't said who a lot of the background people are yet. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. They'll probably drop a proper trailer sometime in the next couple of months. They haven't announced any kind of timeline for when they're revealing stuff. But while you wait for everything, click here for that new Game of Thrones Season 8 promo, and click here for that new Iron Man Avengers 4 promo. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.